Okay, I'm back. Now, let's move on to Ciara and West. I'm calling this segment Wounded While Dating. And the sad part is, it's not West who's wounded, it's Ciara. Ciara Boo Boo Girl. Was it Maya Angelou who said, if you don't heal your wounding, you will bleed over the people who didn't wound you, or something like that? Something like that. Google it. That's what Ciara is doing. She's bleeding all over the place. She is so emotionally stunted and so emotionally cut off. And quite frankly, she's mean. I don't get people who like Ciara. Again, I've never met her. This is nothing personal. This is just how I feel about the persona she puts out on a TV show. Because I don't want people in the comments, oh, Ciara. Stop it. Okay. I can barely understand what she's saying half the time. I don't know if she has a lisp or something in her mouth, but she kind of talks like, so it's wet, and like, it's just weird. I don't know what's going on. I can barely understand her half the time. But let's get back on track. The reason that Ciara, I call her Wounded While Dating, is because all of her past relationships obviously haven't worked out because she's single, and that's okay. But it seems like she's carrying the baggage, and I don't mean damage, because I never want to call somebody damaged, but she's carrying the baggage of all of that into every, not just romantic relationship, but every interaction she has. Like, if, for example, when she called Jesse Solomon a trash bag, I was like, Ciara, sweetheart, you need to look in the mirror, because you're mean and you're nasty. And even when she said to Amanda, do you think you have an identity out of Kyle Loverboy? Because I don't. That was really mean and nasty. She's kind of mean. If you really think about it, she's really mean. And Jesse Solomon is not a trash bag. He actually seems like a pretty, like, adorable, fun-loving guy who is single and having fun. And he's allowed to sleep with whoever he wants, how many times he wants, or not at all. You don't like people policing your box. All I heard was, I don't have to have sex. He doesn't own my body. I don't have to. So if you don't like people policing what you do and do not do with your body, why do you think it's okay to then shame somebody else for what they choose to do or not do with their body? Jesse Solomon is a young, thank God, healthy, because we know he was going through his cancer stuff. So glory be to God, he's healthy. He is a young, healthy man. He can dip it and do it in whatever and whomever, however he wants. So if you don't want people looking at you like you are crazy, boo-boo the fool, wounded, wacko chick for thinking that somehow by not having sex with this guy, all of a sudden makes you more special for a whole summer, and then getting mad because he's entertaining other women, like, wake the hell up. Y'all are like, you guys are adults. You're adults. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying she has to sleep with him. Of course not. Every person has the right to sleep with who they want to, as long as it's consenting and safe. And every person has the right to not sleep with somebody if they want, right? Right, of course. This is the problem. And I'm about to read Ciara for filth. And I don't mean to do this in a mean way. The problem with Ciara is that she thinks, and this isn't true. This is an insecurity she has. And this is an insecurity a lot of women have. She thinks men only value her for her body and sex. So she thinks if I withhold my body and sex, somehow that will make me more valuable, or I'm going to sniff out the bad guys, or I'm not going to get hurt, because she thinks that's the only value they find in her. And that's why I say that she's wounded. When the truth is, that's not true, Ciara. You are beautiful. Some people think you're funny and cool. So shout out to that, and as people, as human beings, we all are intrinsically worthy and valuable, not just for sex. But I think that she has equated relationships not working out and dating F-boys and all of that stuff with men only value me for sex. So the way I'm going to keep my value is to hold on so tight and by not having sex with them to prove my value and worth. That's where I think the misstep is. And I think a lot of women have that wounding. One, from society, we are sexified and objectified, and two, just from being a human being and dating. Sometimes guys want to hit it and quit it. They want to dip it and do it, and we are emotionally attached. We get our feelings hurt. But the problem is, don't ever let the actions of somebody else. And the truth is, those men probably didn't just sleep with her and leave her because they think that's her only value. It's because those men at that time were not ready for a relationship either with her or with anybody. Because when people do that to you, it is always about where they are at, not about the level of value you have. You have people who smash on the first date and they end up getting married and have kids and live happily ever after. You have people who wait 3 months, wait a year, wait whatever, wait till marriage, and it turns out they're not sexually compatible, and you just wasted 3 months. You wasted till you got married, and now you're in a sexless, bad marriage. It goes both ways. Just because you withhold sex doesn't mean that they're going to value you more. I think when it comes to when you decide to be intimate with someone, it should be because that person has earned your trust. They've earned your trust that you can do this act with them and that they are safe to do it with and they will honor your body. Or you just feeling it. Sex is fun. Like, it's okay to have fun. If that's just what you want to do it. If you want it just for pleasure and you just want to have fun, that too. If you want to wait till it's somebody that you trust, that's too. But it shouldn't be a weapon you use to prove your value to someone. Because the truth is, when you are intrinsically valuable, you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You just are. A diamond doesn't work to prove its worth to somebody. A diamond just is. It's the cut of the diamond. It's the clarity of the diamond, right? It's the carat of the diamond, which are all intrinsic things about the diamond. The diamond is valuable simply because it's a diamond. Not because it's withholding the amount of carats it has, not because it's withholding the amount of the cut and the clarity. I'm going to not tell you how clear this diamond is, so you'll think it's more important. No, it just is. And that's what I want for Ciara. I want her to know that she is enough and that she is valuable. And the fact that relationships hasn't worked out is not an implication on her worthiness or her value as a woman, and not to equate sex with her worth. I think she thinks that she's showing her value and worth by not having sex. But it's never the action. It's always the energy and intention behind the action. And the energy and intention to me screams, I've been hurt so much before. I am terrified of being hurt again. I am terrified that I'm going to prove, like, once again, that I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy, that all men leave me and that all they want is sex from me. And I think that is the energy from this whole sex thing. So she's actually doing the opposite. It's actually giving controller energy, desperate energy by doing that. And shout out to Tay. Ciara has not recovered from Austin Kroll. Let's get into that. Ciara, I'm going to need you to take a little thing we like to call the accountability pill. You, Ciara, need to take accountability for the role you played in being played like a damn fool on national television. Austin showed you who he was multiple times. When you got with Austin, he was still playing games with his ex. What's her name? What's the blonde girl's? Madison. He was still playing games with his ex, Madison, when you got with him. And you knew that. You knew that. He was still playing games, texting Madison, talking to you about Madison, this, that, and the third. He wasn't talking to you because he can't afford a therapist. He was talking to you about her because that's the way guys communicate to you that you're not the one. I still love my ex. He's not talking to you because he has this connection to you. He's not talking to you because he can't afford, BetterHelp. He's talking to you because that is his slick way of letting you know the woman that is truly on his mind. That's why when you go on dates with people and all they do is talk about their ex, let me take these off for a second. That's why when you go on dates with, let me know if the sound is still okay. That is why when you go on dates with people and all they do is talk about their ex on the first date, second date, it's a wrap. For me, it's the first date. Unless it is a logical, obvious, relevant reason why you are talking to me about the last woman you were with, it's a wrap, boo-boo. Because I'm not here to be your therapist. I'm not here to be your mother. I'm not here to be your friend, to be honest with you. I'm here to see if I have a romantic relationship for a healthy, healed romantic partner. And if you're sitting here acting like I'm your therapist, then that ain't it. And don't think you can change him. And don't think that you're going to be special and different. Because at the end of the day, nobody is special because we're all special. And I don't mean that in some kumbaya way. I mean that for real. We are all, as human beings, we are all special. So when you think you're special, you're actually wrong. You're not going to be so special you're going to change him. No, because we're all special. People change because they want to change. They don't change for anybody else. Point blank, period. Talk to any addict in this world. They stop drinking, they stop snorting, they stop whatever when they hit rock bottom and they are ready for something different. Think about any guy who is a cheater. They stop cheating. They may lie and say, I stopped cheating for this person or that, but that's a lie. At the core, they stopped cheating because they were tired of it. They no longer wanted to do it and they wanted to change for themselves. People change when they want to change. They don't change for other people. We just think they do because that feeds into our story of what was so wrong with me that he couldn't commit to me, but now he's going to go and commit to her. There was nothing wrong with you other than the fact that you thought you had the power to change someone. There was nothing wrong with you other than the fact that you thought if you could get someone to love you, then that means that you are lovable. There was nothing wrong with you other than thinking that because someone doesn't choose you, that is an indictment on your self-worth, and it's not. I could have 3 Hermes bags. I mean, say I had 3 Hermes bags, a purple one, a blue one, and an ivory one. Is the fact that I decide to wear the purple ivory bag or the purple Hermes bag, does that mean these other Hermes bags are less valuable? Hell no. It just means that I decided that I wanted to wear purple. So just because someone, a man or a woman, an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever, is a human being with free will and choice and preference, uses what God has given us the power to decide that they want something other than you, does not mean that it takes away from your value. I could say, I want to have McDonald's today when somebody brought me some caviar. Does it mean that the fact that right now I want McDonald's take away from the fact that that's caviar? No. So don't think of yourself that way. Ivana Van Sant said it best. When she healed from her divorce, she was like, you know what? He just changed his mind. Shout out to Wendy Williams. I'm a woman and I'm allowed to change my mind. Sometimes people change their mind. It does not mean you're not good enough. It does not mean you're not worthy. It does not mean you're not lovable. It just means a human being on this planet made a different choice. That's all it really means. That's all it means. Okay? What else? Oh, Wes. Now, I know I said I was only talking about the woman, but I got to address Wes because it's on my heart. Okay? It's on my heart. Wes, why were you playing in Ciara's face all summer? Why were you playing in her face? You don't want to be in a relationship with her. And this is the gag. Amanda ate Ciara all the way up. Amanda got her back good. Because remember when Ciara was like, oh, you know, do you have any identity outside of Loverboy and Kyle? I don't think you do. That was really nasty and really cool and really cruel. Like, it was really a nasty thing to say, right? Had Danielle said that, they would have crucified poor Danielle. Danielle can't catch a break, but I'll get to her in a little bit. Amanda got her get back with Ciara. She ate her up. Last episode we just saw, they're talking about how West is a jokester. He doesn't take anything serious. He's just joking. And Amanda goes, yeah, and Ciara, what if you're the biggest joke of all? She's like, you're the biggest joke of all. You know, what if next weekend he's like, psych, that was a prank. You got punked. I was like, Amanda, okay, you decided to show up today and play and have a personality. She ate Ciara up with that one. You're the biggest joke of all. Because the gag is, it's true. What was so painful and embarrassing to watch was, do I think Wes was attracted to Ciara? Yeah, sure. She's a gorgeous girl. But she clearly had the initial interest in him. She was the one who stayed in the kitchen. She was the one who was like showing interest in getting to know it, which is fine. You know, do what you got to do, test the waters, flirt, have fun, you know, see if there's a vibe. The problem to me in this whole situation was that when Paige kept inserting herself behind Ciara's back in their relationship, it made whatever was happening between Ciara and West inauthentic and forced. And I think West felt like he didn't know how to get out of it, because Paige is like, yeah, like, you know, you work so well in the group. And again, remember, West is 27 at this point. I think he's 28 now. He had been laid off, so he was looking for work. He didn't have any money. His severance was basically run out, he said. And he got the call to be on the show. So this is now some income. This is revenue. This is a huge opportunity. You know, you're on Bravo, you're on this show. You don't want to F it up. So when you have Paige, who is a self-proclaimed HBIC on the show, she's not my HBIC, but she's a self-proclaimed one, being like, oh yeah, it is a good idea. You should invite her to dinner. And I love that this is happening. This is really good, blah, 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 blah. I think Wes kind of thought, well, okay, well, now I kind of have to. You know, I think they did have feelings there. They do seem to have a good banter, attraction, fun. But at the end of the day, any healthy physically and mentally and emotionally and sexually person, they're going to want that intimacy at some point in order for it to really be real. If that makes sense. I'm obviously, again, I'm not saying she has to sleep with him. Please, that is not what I'm saying at all. But I do think that it would be crazy of her to expect a certain level of commitment from him if they themselves have not made the commitment to each other. Do you see what I'm saying? She could even say, like, you know, once we are in a committed relationship, then that would make me feel safe enough to sleep with you, to give my body to you if we are in a committed relationship, you know? But until you get to that point where you both are saying we are in a committed relationship, you can't expect him to close every door. Like, she should have been dating other guys. If she wasn't, then that's on her. I wouldn't stop dating other guys if I'm just hanging out with a dude and we're not even snatching and it's just like whatever the deal is. I wouldn't stop texting other dudes. I wouldn't stop going on dates and meeting other people. Especially when she claims she wants a real relationship and she wants something serious. Well, how are you going to get there when you're wasting months upon months upon months playing reindeer games with this dude, trying to act like you're so valuable because I'm not going to give up the cootie cat, the little cookie cat, whatever you want to call it. I'm in my Wendy Williams era, you know? Girl, bye. Miss me with all that. And it just seemed really icky to me. And I do think that Paige, for as much as I read Paige for filth, I do think Paige actually in this situation, because she is like obsessed with her Ciara, I do think Paige had the right intentions, but also know your place. Know your place. You know? So I wouldn't want my friend going behind my back and sort of orchestrating the relationship with a guy that I'm getting to know. I would want him to come to me. I would want it to happen naturally and organically. I wouldn't want him to feel like, am I going to be a villain on the show? Am I going to be ostracized? Am I going to get a bad edit? You know, is social media going to hate me if I don't go through with this? You know? And unfortunately, I don't think that they're together anymore. And then all of a sudden it's like Ciara and Paige are like, you know, Wes is just immature and this, that, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, is he immature or is he dating people and waiting until he's in a good place to have a relationship and he wants to have physical touch and all of this stuff? I don't know. I'm not saying I don't think that's immature. And he was very open and honest about everything. I think Ciara needs to really work on Ciara. Again, I don't know her in real life. So take this advice with a grain of salt, Ciara, because you're going to watch this one day, I bet. I don't know. Maybe put the brakes on dating and go all in on self-love. Like double down on your self-love. You know, whether it's working on your spirituality, working on getting a really good therapist or whatever it is, you know, unpacking wounding, double, triple, quadruple down on your self-love because you are gorgeous. You're successful. Some people like your personality. And I would just double down on that. You are a Victoria's Secret model. And you're having issues with West. Wait 1 second, you guys. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, Ciara, I'm going to need you to work on your self-love because the caliber of man that you should be bagging, Ciara, should be, you know that TikTok trend, I'm looking for a guy in finance, 6'5", trust fund, blue eyes, all of that. Other than the looking part, because women, we don't look for men look for us, okay? But Ciara should be with like, I don't know, like the executive of marketing of TikTok, you know, finance advisor of Goldman Sachs, you know, entrepreneur who built a business and doing this, that, and the third. Ciara should be at that level. She should be dating multi-millionaire established men. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the level you really should be playing at. Because the gag is you are a gorgeous girl. And I'm not just saying equating looks to the type of men you date, but if we're being honest about the society that we live in, oftentimes that is the case. You know what it is what it is. I'm not being sexist. I'm not being misogynistic. I'm not belittling her humanity. I'm just calling a thing a thing. She should be dating those types of men. And this is no shade to West, because I do think that West was the breakout star. Everybody loves him. I think he has a great heart. I think he's a good person. And I think when he's ready, he's going to make a fantastic boyfriend and one day a fantastic husband. And I'm sure that he is going to be very, very successful. I'm sure he's going to use this platform and build great things and do great things. I could see him doing like, you know, reality TV and maybe some like hosting and gag stuff and maybe some sports hosting and stuff like that. I can see him going really far with this. You know, he has a great personality. He's very charismatic. People love him. I could see him really going far. So I do think that West will be very, very successful. But to me, it's very similar to the situation with Lindsay and Carl. if you need your man to be so clear on who he is, super established, knows what he wants, not playing games, then you need to find a man who is in that place in his life. Because a lot of men who don't have a job, he has one now and all that stuff. And I'm not being, and trust me, I'm not slighting him for being laid off, because that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people get laid off, a lot of people get fired. Hard times can happen to anybody, any age, anywhere. So by no means am I shaming him for this, by any means. I'm just talking about the circumstances of the situation when it comes to male confidence, okay? When a man is unsure about his purpose, he's unsure about his career, and he's unsure about his money, he will lack confidence. So if he is not sure in those areas of how men identify their manness, right? Then they're not going to be in a place to be clear about you. And I would be very, very cautious if I was a woman who had all my stuff together, allegedly, Ciara, because again, I think she needs to do some mental, emotional work, as we all need at some point in our lives. If you live long enough and you've been on this earth, you go through some things, and there's nothing wrong with getting help to unpack trauma. We all have it. If you say you don't have it, then you're in worse trouble. Then you really need help. If you think you have no trauma, if you think you have nothing wrong, that's when you really need the most help, okay? Because we all have something, right? But what I mean by that is, and a man is like, I am so 100% sure about you, I would be very wary of that man. Very, very wary. If you were looking for a man who is in his healthy masculine, who really wants to take care of you, I would be very, very wary. Because a lot of times in those situations, a couple of things happens. When a guy is, let me clarify what I mean by that. There's a difference between a man who may not have a lot of money, maybe in between jobs, and all of that, but has a clear vision, plan, and blueprint for where he's going, and he knows the steps to get there. If that man says, I love you and I want you and I want to take you with me, that is okay. Because again, like I said, we all fall, not we all, but anybody can fall on hard times. And we all have to start from somewhere. So just because in this moment, the circumstances are maybe not the right money or the right job or whatever, but he has a plan and he has a vision and he has the steps to get from A to B to C to D, and he's the one and he wants to go with you as a partner, that is cool. But if you have a man who has no vision, who has no blueprint, who has no plan, who has no money, who has no purpose, and he says, I want you to be with me, I would kind of run. I'm not going to be Lindsay thinking I'm going to, bully a man into being a man. You can't bully a man into being a man. You can't bash him enough. You can't scold him enough. You can't yell at him enough. You can't put him down enough. You can't be man enough to make a man a man. And on that same token, with Ciara, you can't then blame and shame a man for not being ready for commitment when he has not yet been stable in his identity as a man. I think Wes now probably has more of a vision and a plan and a step book and more security, then yeah, of course, because there are men who become the next Bill Gates or the next, Jeff Bezos starting in their garage. But those are men who had vision and they had a plan. That's okay. But if your man has no vision and he has no plan, he wants to use you. And that's what I was going to say. If the man has no vision, he has no plan, he has no stability, he has no sense of self as his identity as a man, and he says he wants to be with you, it's because he wants to use you to figure out his plan. He wants to use you for what you can give to him, because a man is more, and I'm going to use the word valuable because I don't know a better word for it. Obviously, all people are valuable, but a man's, I'll say equity. A man's equity as a man increases when he has a woman. Women are value adders to men, 100%. That's why, and you get in the big circles, sure, you have a couple people who might be eccentric and we're just gonna, be life partners. No, they all have wives, multiple, it's a certain thing, the arm candy of a man, all of that stuff. Women are value adders. And it also goes back to what Carl was saying to Amanda. I don't want you to leave because I want you with me. Not just because you're a designer, but because as my wife, you add value. I want this to be a team player. Women are value adds. Never forget that. Never forget that. Women, we add value to men. Men are more valuable. They have higher equity. They are more desirable if they have a woman. We add value to them. 100%. So if a man doesn't have a vision or a plan or any of that stuff, and he says he wants to be with you, it's because he's going to use the value you give him, your support, your time, your ideas, your energy, your body, the value you add just because he has you, to find that plan, to find that vision. And unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, he leaves you. And then he's on to the next one. That's why you hear all those stories. Like, I held him down in medical school and now he's a doctor and he's divorcing me. I held him down when he started his business. Now his business is booming and he's cheating on me. I held him down through law school. Now he's a big lawyer making all this money. And he wants to leave me and he's divorcing me for the newer, younger model. Because you were never part of his plan or vision because he didn't have one. You were just the resource he used to get to where he needed to be. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to Ciara and West, I don't think they're together. Ciara is doing her usual bitter Betty, addicted to her victim story. She needs to let that go and really heal and get some self-love. And another reason why I knew Wes was not really into Ciara was because what happened with Austin. We know how dirty. Oh, and that was another thing I wanted to say about Ciara. Okay. I got to write it down. Austin, 2 things. I'd be on my little tangent. Okay. 2 things about one thing. 2 things about Austin. 2 things about Austin. 2 things about one thing. Number 1, let's talk about how I knew Wes never really had it for Ciara. And then 2, I'll talk about how Ciara needs to take accountability for herself. Okay. I knew Wes never really had it for Ciara like that when on Watch What Happens Live, he was asked the question, oh, why do you and Austin follow each other on Instagram now? And he was saying how on some after show, he was like, yeah, I'm tired of hearing Austin's name. I'm tired of hearing that dude's name or whatever. And Austin saw the show or got a clip or whatever and slid into Wes's DMs. And they were exchanging notes and talking. And then all of a sudden, they are boys and they're cool, and they're following each other on Instagram. This is a man that fundamentally, I'm going to say damaged was the action, but I don't think any person is damaged. But that he did damage to her. If you ever really had it for her like that, you would not be kikiing and kumbayaing and chopping it up with this dude. For what? You don't know him like that. You don't owe Austin anything. If you ever really felt something for Ciara, I'm not saying you have to stay with her. I'm not saying you have to be with her. But to chop it up and to follow on Instagram and to be kumbaya and boys with a man that dogged her the hell out and is why she's so wounded now and isn't having sex with you for months and months because she hasn't gotten over what happened with this dude and now you chopping it up and being kumbaya, you never really had it for her like that. Because a real man who at any point really had it for a woman would never disrespect her that way, regardless if you're with that woman or not. My exes would never do that to me. Because even though we may not be together, they still would not disrespect me like that. And then that's why Ciara, when she was on Watch What Happens Live, poor thing, was like, yeah, and they were talking about Wes and Austin. She's like, yeah, I can't have anything and blah, 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 blah. But that has to really hurt, that the guy who played the hell out of you on national television is now chopping it up with the guy who just decided not to commit to you. That's not cool. That's not cool. So that's when I was like, Wes, yeah, you never really had it for her like that. I think for Wes, I think he thought, I need to do well on the show. I need to be liked. I don't want anybody to come after me. I don't want Paige mad at me. I don't want the audience to turn on me. Let's just see where this goes and ride with it. I don't think Wes is a bad guy. I don't think he's immature. I don't think he's an F-boy. I think he's just a young man who is finding his way. And I think once he finds his plan and his vision, I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a great father, a great dad. That's the same thing, but like a great husband when that time is right in his life for him. You see, I don't think West is a bad guy at all. But you never really had it for Ciara like that. Because if you truly did, you would not be chopping it up with Austin. Doesn't mean you have to be mean to him, but you wouldn't be chopping it up with him. Second thing about one thing, Austin. Ciara, I'm going to need you to take accountability pill. Because Austin already dogged you the hell out. He was talking about his ex, Madison, in your face when you guys were hooking up. He said he wasn't ready for anything serious. He then continued to sleep with you and lead you on. Then when he came to the house, he had the audacity to hook up with Lindsay in your face. In your face. He had the audacity to do that. Now, I can't remember. And somebody check my timing here, because I'm trying to think about this now. Did Ciara hook up with Austin in South Carolina? Because she hooked up with him during the season of Southern Charm. When Paige was with Craig, Ciara came in town. She wasn't featured on the show, but Paige was like, oh, our Ciara is here to Austin. Austin, Craig, and Paige went back to Craig's house. Austin and Ciara smashed. And he stopped talking to her after that. All I can say is this. Ciara, he dogged you out multiple times, made it very clear he was still in love with Madison, made it very clear he was not ready for a relationship, and you continued to sleep with him. And this is why you now equate, men only want me for sex. Men only value me for sex because I'm having sex with this guy and he's not picking me and he's dogging me out. No. He knows you're beautiful. He knows you're smart. He knows you're amazing. And if you're going to give it to him, he's going to take it. That doesn't mean that you're not valuable. It just means you're trying to get with a man who just isn't into you in that way right now. But you knew who he was. So I'm not absolving Austin of his F-boy behaviors and how disrespectful he was, hooking up with Lindsay in front of her, sleeping with her in Charleston, and then never calling her again. I'm not giving him a pass. I'm not saying that what he did was right. But what I'm saying is that women, you have the capability to block somebody. If a man is disrespecting you, not committing to you, and that's what you want, block him. Why did you sleep with him again? Why did you keep going back? And again, I'm not victim blaming. I'm not victim shaming. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just saying there comes a point in time where you have to say, These are the choices I made because I was just so much into this dude that I thought the more I give to him, then he will choose me. So you gave and gave and gave, and he took and took and took. I'm not saying that to shame you or blame you. I'm saying that to empower you. That when you know a man is not for you, close your legs. You kept your legs closed to West, and West treated you 1,000 times better than Austin ever did. All I ever saw Austin do was laugh, gas you up, and play you like a damn fool, playing in your face. Austin wasn't good to you the way West is. I think West likes you as a human being way more than Austin ever did. Way more. You know? So to me, I'm like, girl, you need to take accountability for this. You know what I'm saying? He didn't make you keep going back to him like that. There comes a point in time where it takes two to tango. And again, I'm not absolving Austin. He also could have said, you know what? I know Ciara is really into me. If I keep having sex with her, I'm just going to hurt her. He could have done that. But one thing that I have learned, and I know this to be true for a fact, it is nobody's responsibility to enforce your boundaries. It is your responsibility to enforce your boundaries. So if you say to a man, I want a commitment, but he's saying I don't, and you continue to sleep with him, then you are the person who is disrespecting your own boundaries. But then you want to turn around and play the victim, like, oh, he's this F boy, he doesn't respect me. When the gag is, you didn't respect yourself. Because if you wanted something more from him and he wasn't willing to give it to you, this is when you say, I know my value, I know my worth, and I'm closing my legs, I'm pushing block, and I'm going to keep it pushing and popping. People can only use you to the extent that you allow them to. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying he's off the hook. I'm just saying the word empowered means I'm in power. So empower yourself not to be played like a damn fool on national television and busting it open for men who are making it very clear to you they don't want to commit to you when that is what you want. If it was something that you both wanted, that's cool. Because like I said, having sex or not having sex is not the determinant factor of your value. You are the determinant factor of your value. The problem is when you think, if I give you sex, you will stay. Or if I don't give you sex, somehow I'm more special and more valuable. It's the weaponization of sex that is the problem. So Ciara, I wish you well, girl. I hope you double down on your self-love. Because I actually think that if you loved yourself more, you would probably be a little kinder of a person because you're kind of mean, I think. That's just me. What do you guys think about Ciara? Let me know because maybe that's just like my thing. I always think she's kind of like mean, hard, rigid. I don't know. Maybe that's me. But Wes, Mazel Tov, good luck. You know, you're the number one guy of the group now, allegedly. You're out here dipping it and doing you. So good job, West. But stop playing in Ciara's face because you never really had it for her like that. Okay? All right. Let's move on to, let me take a quick sip. Okay. Let's move on to Paige.